Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in southern Tasmania. Thanks to everyone who's purchased my October 2021 class by mail. It features the Whimsy and Wonder bundle, which together is the Whimsical Trees stamp set and the Christmas trees dies. We have 3 cards to do together today, and I'll do them in separate videos so you don't have to move backwards and forwards in the one video to find where you're up to if you can't watch it all the way through. So you should have 3 kits, and in each kit, if you've bought the double kit, there'll be 2 examples of each card. So I've just got some examples, my little single kit here, but yours should, if you've got the double kit, should have 2 lots of everything in there. Okay, so we might as well get started. This is what I'm calling card number 1. This is a really interesting card, this one, in the fact that it's got 4 different pieces of cardstock and designer series paper. So I thought it was a really good way of actually showcasing to you these lovely papers. As well as the beautiful sort of not traditional Christmas colours that this bundle or the collection sort of leads you to using. Anyway, so let's get started with card number 1. I'll just move everything out of the way. Okay, so as I say, this is what your little kit should look like. You've got, be careful when you're opening them up, because obviously there's little embellishments and everything in there that might fall on the floor. So you have, and I'll just get to the interesting bits in a second, you have my normal sized card base, which is a basic white card base, 8 1/4 by 5 3/4, and it's scored in the middle to just a plain white card base. You have a piece of basic white, which is 1/8 of an inch smaller, so it's 4 inches by 5 5/8. You have a couple of pieces of various coloured cardstock for printing and die cutting. You have your envelope, of course. You have a sentiment box that's using the seasonal labels dies. It's a very handy one for Christmas. And you've got some little rhinestones there as well. And you've got 4 little pieces of cardstock that are held together with a paper clip there. So if you remove the paper clip, move everything else out of the way, you'll actually see that the little pieces of cardstock have numbers written on them. So the numbers are actually written on the back. So this is the back of the cardstock. I haven't written on the front, but so this is the back of, this is where your glue is going to go, okay? So what you need to do is like putting together a numbered jigsaw puzzle. Start at the top left with piece number 1. So that's number 1. Can't really tell which way up number 1 is supposed to be, but you want a right angle in the top left corner. So starting in the top left corner, number 1, and then bring in number 2. And so you'll have a right angle in the top right hand corner of number 2. Then you bring in number 3, goes underneath number 1. So you go 1, 2, 3, and then number 4 goes in just there. So if you stick to that number order, 1, 2, 3, 4, you should get a perfectly rectangular jigsaw all fit together in the right place. So left, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. That should get you where you want to be. Okay, so get your spare piece of basic white, and so basically now we need to flip these over onto their tummies and glue them to this piece of cardstock. So I'll just move them over. I'll keep them in the right order. Okay, so this one here, number 1, basically we need to flip it over. So when you flip it over, it's going to be like a mirror image. So it's going to go here. Okay, so it goes from left-hand side of your jigsaw puzzle, no, right, yeah, left-hand side of your jigsaw puzzle to right-hand side of your paper. Flip over number 2, and it's going to go there. Okay, flip over number 3. It's going to go there, and flip over number 4, and it will go there. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense for you. Watch the video a few times, just have a little bit of a play. I'm sure you'll get it into the right order. But putting the numbers on the back was probably the easiest way that I could think of doing it. So now we might as well just glue these down. Doesn't matter which order you glue them down. but they should fit. Just take my glasses off. They should fit this piece of cardstock exactly. So right up to the edge of your piece of cardstock, so that you don't see any of the extra white peeking out through the top. Now, if you find that they overlap a wee bit, or they go off the edge a bit, you might want to trim them down, because we do want them just to match the edge of that cardstock exactly. This one seems to be going okay. This nice one here, this one has been through the tasteful textured embossing folder, if you like that one. It's very handy just to add a little bit of something extra to a piece of cardstock, just to make it a little bit special. So again, it should line up exactly with the edges of your paper. And there is our last one. Okay. Okay. So that is the effect you're after there. Of course, yours are going to be, there's going to be all random orders there. I mean, you'll have different papers in different corners, but you should have that. So it's very similar to that sort of configuration once you've glued it all down. There we are there. So we can probably leave that now, just leave it for the glue to dry, and we can get back to our card. Okay, so what you need to do now is grab your Whisper White, your little piece of Basic White, and grab your stamp set. So you're going to need a Blushing Bride ink pad and a Mint Macaron ink pad, and you're going to need, out of the stamp set, this cute little short fat Christmas tree, and the slightly taller one there as well, that one as well. So ink those up, and it doesn't really worry me what colour you use for the various trees, but you will need you need one each of the tall one, so you need one each of the Blushing Bride. Oh, sorry, one of the tall ones in Blushing Bride. And I'll just clean that off. One of the tall ones in the pink, in the Mint Macaron, or the green, whatever green you're using. Do suggest these colours just because they match the paper so nicely. Okay, so you've got that one, and then you can choose which colour you prefer for your little. You only need one of these little short ones, so I'm going to do him in the green, just because I like the green. There we go. And while you've got your inks and your stamps out, probably grab the sentiment from the set as well. I'm using "May the love of the season warm your home and fill your heart." I'm just going to stamp that on the little sentiment box provided, just in some black ink. There we are. It's not quite as straight as it should be, but that's all right. I'm sure you guys will get it straighter. Okay, so you've got that one. You can just pop that aside as well. So we're going to grab our dies. Where have I popped the dies? And we've got the tall one here and the little one here. Plus you also need this little sort of skinny tall Christmas tree, and this little one as well, which is even skinnier and even taller. So you're going to need those out as well. What we're going to do is cut one of each of those from the two colours that you've got there as well. So from your Blushing Bride and your Mint Macaron cardstock. So we've got a bit of cutting to do there. I might bring my little cut and emboss machine into view. I have a horrible feeling somebody's going to start microwave something in the kitchen, which means my reception will drop out. We'll see how we go. Already done it to me once this morning. Okay, so we're just going to die cut that one. Oh, they are too. going to stand up. It's a bit hard to die cut when you're not over the top of your die, so just bear with me. Really need my magnetic. These ones are really light and a bit fiddly to move. Might have to move to my magnetic board. Okay, that seems okay. So we've got our two little green ones. Now I'll just do the pink one. A little pink one there. While I've got it here, I will do the two little skinny ones. Put those there so I don't lose them. We'll grab the pink and the green. Doesn't really matter which way you go, as long as you've got one of each. Now this little guy's really tall. The really tall one, we're going to have to trim his tail off anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you get that all in. Be careful if I put it on the right board. So you're going to have lots of this left. You may decide to cut a few more of these and use it in a later card. I'll show you where you can do that, just to use up the cardstock that you've been given in your kit. Or just pop it in your scraps box. Oh. There we are. So I can move my little machine out of the way now. And sit my bottom back down. Oh, here we go. Just make sure everything is still in the centre. Tends to move things around a little bit when you bring your big shot into the camera. So now we've got everything I think we need. Yep, we have for our little card. So the best thing to do now is just stick your little jigsaw puzzle onto your card base, and that should have a sort of very small border around the edge there, like that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is grab some dimensionals, and I will show you the way I find this easier to do, because I'm not a really great visual thinker. I need to sort of see things in place, physically see them in place before I'm happy with them. So what I would do when I'm doing this is grab some dimensionals and pop them on the back of your sentiment box, but keep the dimensionals away from the top. So don't put them too close along the top there, because what we're going to have to do is push these little trees up and under. And so if you've got dimensionals in the way, you might struggle with that. We're going to come back in later and put a dimensional up under there to give it the height it needs, but I'm not going to do it in the first instance. So I'm just going to put that sort of towards the right hand side, probably lower third of the card, just as straight as I can. That's okay. There we are. And then we're going to bring in our little trees and things. So what I'm going to do, first of all, pop the pink tall tree. I'm going to pop that, and as you can see, that's why I've said leave that, leave the dimensionals away from there, because you're going to have to sneak that in and under. Just going to bring that little guy there towards the left-hand end of the what is it? Sentiment box. Then we're going to bring in the green die cut tree, and we're going to pop that just to the right of that little pink tree and slightly down, slightly lower. There we are. Then we're going to bring in our pink one. We're going to pop him again further to the right, but just with a tiny gap, so about 1/2 inch gap there, and again slightly lower again. So those three have to go in first. Okay, so that's what we'll do first. Just with some glue on the back. You don't dimension these ones at this stage. Here we are. So our pink tree, and then our green tree, green die cut tree. Bring him down a little bit. Okay, and then now leaving a 1/2 inch gap or so, and bring in the little pink one, the pink die cut one. And he's slightly lower again. Okay, so we've got those three in there. Okay, so then what we're going to do is bring our little shorter Christmas tree in, and he's going to sit over the top of your sentiment box and in between the two die cut ones. So you're going to have to pop a dimensional on him on the back and pop him just there. So his little stem is actually on over the top of your dimension of your sentiment box. Okay, and then the last big green or Christmas tree, the taller one, pop a couple of dimensionals on the back of him. He probably needs a couple because he's a bit taller, and he can pop just onto the left hand side of the pink tree, a little bit lower, so his top isn't quite as high, and just to sneak his little bottom underneath the sentiment box as well. There we are. Okay, so I don't think I need any more sentiments under there. It's sort of held up by this one, not this here. So I don't think we need to pop any more dimensionals underneath our sentiment box. I think it's fine. So there we are. So we're nearly done. We just need to bring in our little rhinestones. Hopefully they didn't fall out of the pack when you were getting your card ready, and just pop those around. I am actually going to use one so it looks a little bit like a star on one of our Christmas trees. Just going to pop it at the top of that one, so just at the very top, just like that. And then the last one, just sort of random, wherever you like your dimensionals, your rhinestones there. Okay, so that is card number 1. I hope you like that one. I really like the colours of this one. I really like the sort of, that looks like a little forest of pink and green Christmas trees. It's quite unusual, but I think the highlight of it is that sort of jigsaw puzzle of designer series paper in the background that really sort of shows some of the beautiful papers in the collection really, really well. Okay, so that's sort of a non-traditional, well, they're all pretty non-traditional Christmas card there with the Whimsy and Wonder bundle. Whimsy and Wonder bundle. Okay, so I'll have a little bit of a clean up and I'll come back with video number 2 very soon.